Dear Australia by Don Bemrose. Dear Australia, I'm a descendant of the Gungari people of the Murrinawa district near Mitchell, Queensland. I'm a member of a rich living culture. I grew up with a loving, generous, extended family on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and I have much to be thankful for. I love this country and all its people for shaping the man I am today and allowing me to be me. I educate, I inspire, and I entertain, but I have flaws, and I've done wrong and wronged you, Australia. So I must tell of how sorry I am and ask you to please forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I identify as Gungari and Aboriginal. I know you'd prefer I added part, quarter, or some other quantifier to signify I'm less than full, to reinforce my lesser status, and as a reminder that my people are to be bred out. I'm sorry I'm neither white nor black enough for you to easily label or identify me as other. I understand how hard it can be for you to be openly funny or casually racist when people like me are around. I'm sorry I'm not a real Aboriginal living in a remote part of Australia, surviving off the land. Sorry that I can't be herded up like cattle or sheep when a mining company decides that destroying this country is more important than sustaining it. I'm sorry I can't dot paint, play football, or run really fast. I'm sorry I have only been able to become a leading opera artist, sharing the stage with some of Australia's finest classical musicians in operatic works by Mozart and Puccini, and in new Australian works such as Pecan Summer by Deborah Cheetham and Cloud Street by Palmer, Edwards and Sexton. And while I may consider myself an artist, I'm sorry I can't shake a leg or wear a lap every time you need someone for a significant Australian event. I'm sorry I can't welcome you to country because we are not one mob. There is no one Aboriginal people, and my mob, the Gungari, we are not from here. I'm sorry I completed Year 12, graduated from the University of Melbourne's Victorian College of Arts with a Bachelor of Music Performance, Opera, and I'm really sorry I went on to graduate from Charles Darwin University with a graduate diploma of teaching and learning. To have me, a blackfella, educating the young minds of white Australian children at one of the Australian Capital Territory's best schools must be hard for you to fathom. Finally, I'm sorry I've said sorry more than once. Once really should be enough to heal all past and current atrocities I've committed against you. No explanation required. You've taught me that on many occasions. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for being unsuccessful with my suicide attempt at the age of 23. I know one less loudmouth thinks he's educated Abo would have been a great addition to your incredible world-leading youth suicide statistics. Please forgive me for identifying as gay, because I know you hate double and triple minorities, which is such a threat to your monocultural, patriarchal 1950s utopia. Please forgive me for not being lazy. I know how you prefer your natives to want nothing but a free handout, but somehow I've become a want-for-nothing Aboriginal who lives the best life I can. Please forgive me for being a success. I have a loving, supportive and large extended family who have been present at every success I have had in my life and career. Please forgive them for teaching me values such as kindness, forgiveness, and love. I know you would have preferred I had an angry chip on my shoulder so I could be poked and prodded to burn flags on cue. Please forgive me for having full-time employment and for owning my own car and not relying on that special treatment all Aborigines get. I know you create all those entry-level, short-term identified positions to tick boxes in your reconciliation action plan, but I really am too old and too experienced to be chasing an entry-level role. I applied for and won a role against all other candidates in an open field that wasn't only for ATSI people, and it is permanent and ongoing. So unfortunately, I will get to spend my cash how I wish. No cashless card for me. Please forgive me for not putting that native title claim on your backyard yet. I'm still researching what legal proof my family will need to secure a nice spot in Point Piper or Kirribilli. I'm a bit partial to a nice water view. And while I'm talking property, please forgive me for owning my own home with my wonderful partner, which we saved for and purchased with our own money. Please forgive me for not taking all the reparations money I am owed as a first Australian. Please forgive me for reminding my 7th grade history teacher, and nearly every Aussie since, that Captain Cook did not discover Australia in 1788. I must also seek your forgiveness for continuing to educate staff, students and government employees of these same facts through running cultural competency training courses. Thank you. Thank you for never allowing me to be only Australian, since that first time in the local playground when a true Aussie child asked me, "What are you?" I've always had to think quickly and justify this colour of my skin to meet the standard of answer proper Aussies want, and that fits with their worldview. For many, a reply of, "I'm Aboriginal," was not acceptable, and I thank you for teaching me that I'm not Australian but proudly Aboriginal, a human. Thank you for teaching me that I am a third-class citizen in my own country by suspending the Racial Discrimination Act to invade the Northern Territory under the guise of protecting children from abuse. That was to get access to land and natural resources, wasn't it? Thank you for keeping me humble when I achieved a childhood dream and sang the Australian National Anthem at the State of Origin Rugby Series in 2008 by sending me abusive emails and phone messages telling me that I betrayed my culture and community. Thank you for teaching minorities to hate other minorities. It was a great early life lesson to not be able to get a date because no gay Aussie male wants to date an abo. It forced me to learn to love myself. Thank you for giving me the nickname of Bondi Floater in primary school, which meant I was a piece of shit from a sewage line that was damaged after a storm in the 1980s and washed onto the shoreline. Gives a whole new meaning to BFF. Thank you for incarcerating my family for multiple minor misdemeanors because they grew up in and were fleeing trauma-filled homes. It really is so much easier to deal with them when they can be neither seen nor heard by wider society and are off the gentrified streets. Thank you for acknowledging every 26 January with such grace and humility. Thank you for your encouragement and advice to me to let the past be in the past, to simply get over it. On the day my people's land was invaded and dispossessed. And thank you for teaching me to ignore all of the massacres and racist policies that helped the British build this Commonwealth nation of Australia from the ground up. Australia, I love you. I love your incredible coastline and beaches. I love the feel of your hot sand under my feet, the sound of waves crashing, and the coolness of diving through that first wave as it breaks overhead. I love the surf lifesaving community that nurtured my leadership skills through my teenage years and early 20s when I was struggling to find my path. I love the build-up of an afternoon storm and the epic lightning shows that erupt overhead. I love I can still find places to be safely alone and on a clear summer's night can watch the billions of stars in the Milky Way or gather with millions watching fireworks over Sydney Harbour. I love visiting our rivers and estuaries, searching for that perfect swimming hole or fishing spot. I love sitting by a fire telling yarns and laughing late into the night. I love our humour when the chips are down and that resilience to just get on with it. I love that we can take the piss with our closest mates and stand by one another in our darkest hour. I love watching sporting heroes giving their all, win, lose or draw. I love the sweet call of magpies and kookaburras in the morning or evening, and how loud a flock of lorikeets are when feeding. I love being able to ride my bicycle across the bush capital with ease and have picnics surrounded by our native wildlife. I love that I've been lucky enough to travel to every Australian city and work with some of the best, most forward-thinking individuals and coach many to extraordinary feats. I love the friendships that have been culturally safe and supported me to reach my childhood goals and taught me that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. Most of all, I love that I am a mediocre, middle-colour Aboriginal who grew up in this sunburned country of Australia. Sincerely, your Gungari brother, Don Bemrose. P.S. I truly love every square inch of Australia. I look forward to when we realise that this country is our giver of life and will survive long after we've passed. Maybe then we will each choose a life similar to that of our ancestors, one of leaving soft footprints and a light touch on this landscape, and with a kindness for each other.